out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired from my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Just had to kind of get to the hook there.
I was just saying, way to roll into that one.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show, Easter Monday. Wade and Carter, Ash and Brent, Commander Cody in the corner doing his Commander Cody things.
Howdy.
Hope everybody had a good Easter weekend. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Hay Feed and Ranch. A little bit of rain yesterday.
Perfect for the yard. 71 degrees in Victoria
Probably
today.
ruined everybody's Easter.
Mostly sunny
Barbecuing.
skies. High of 83. 71 to 83. Question for you is Easter Monday, is that a real thing, or is that a thing in Canada? I'm not being silly. Because we've had there's another one that you guys do that's like something Monday. I'm not being silly. I know it's a Canadian thing. It's like the day after a holiday is a day for you, like Thanksgiving.
Oh, Boxing
Friday.
Day.
Yeah, Boxing
Christmas
Day.
stuff. Day after Christmas, yeah.
What is that? Why does it say no video? I think there's video.
I don't know. I don't know either.
I think we've got video. Top news of the day, just so you know, if you haven't heard already, Pope Francis has passed at the age of 88. 7:35.
I see video.
I guess that's local time.
Yeah.
7:35 a.m. probably Vatican City time. So hours ago, the Pope passed. Ash and I were just talking about, is it irony? Is it a blessing? Or does it have anything to do with anything that he passed away on
Easter Monday?
Easter.
Yeah.
Interesting. Still Easter Sunday here when he passed away. 6 hours earlier.
Oh.
Well, I guess it would have been just after midnight our time.
I think he was hanging on. I mean, I've been waiting for this shoe to drop for weeks because he hasn't been well.
He hasn't been
88
well.
years old.
They rolled him out and he kind of blessed her, but he kind of did like a little blessing deal. But it is interesting.
Did he do anything yesterday? I don't even know.
No, but the news yesterday, part of the news yesterday was, should the U.S. be upset that the Pope turned down a visit with J.D. Vance? I think the answer now is clearly no, you should not be upset. The man was on his deathbed. I don't know what you do with that.
Well, apparently he did bless the masses at Easter Mass yesterday, so he was able to do that. I mean, I thought that was older video.
I did too, but that was yesterday.
That was. I mean, come on, really?
He must have been on a number of meds because he was really bloated and he was never an amazingly fit guy. Of course, he's Italian, but he was really.
I think he's Argentinian or something.
Really bloated.
But I mean, he could barely lift his hands through the blessing. Yeah, it was not.
So
it's almost sad.
Well, it's
when you roll him out there like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he's going to go. I mean, I think he's going to go down as the most political pope in history, at least in modern history, because I don't know how political they were
in Roman
back
times.
in the day. Interestingly enough, any baptized Catholic male can actually apply for the job, but typically since the 14th century, they've come out of the College of Cardinals. But
yeah, he's Argentinian, but at any rate,
yeah.
So would it be Pope Ash or?
No, I'm not
Pope Wade. P. Wade.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm not throwing my name in.
He'd go in as P. Wade. He'd make it hip. P. Wade. I like that, by the way. P. Wade.
Ain't happening.
And the Pope, in other news today, said, deport them all.
No blessing for you 1 year.
I don't know. I just from
The Pope Nazi. Yes.
I don't know from what the Catholic Church I grew up in.
Canada.
This Pope was as far away from those teachings as any.
Well, I mean, in stereotype, in the same vein that you say, like, Baptists don't dance, Catholicism is so ridden
And your daddy don't rock and roll.
and riddled with guilt that Canadians, I mean, everything the Catholic Church does, right, is about guilt. You're not worthy. No soup for you, 2 weeks, 500 Hail Marys. The entire concept of a Canadian Pope would be like, give me 50 I'm sorry's.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just be apologizing all the time.
I don't think it's gonna be. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be Cardinal Dolan either.
All right. Scott
From New
Tucker
York.
says he did visit with Vance. No, don't. There won't ever be an American Pope. It's just that'll never happen. It's never happened, right? No, it won't happen.
No. And in fact, I think he was the first one from Latin America, wasn't he? Not? Was he not? Remember, there was a big stink when Pope John Paul II was from Poland.
Yeah.
Oh, how can we have a Polish Pope?
He was actually ended up being pretty popular, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Heather Stewart's right. This Baptist loves to dance.
Yeah. Behind closed doors when nobody can see.
Right. As long as we don't spill our drinks.
But yeah, I mean, I just the papacy has kind of, to me, it's gone the way of the English monarchy.
Solid comparison.
I don't know how relevant, but then again, I'm no longer, I'm sure Catholics feel differently, but I don't know how relevant, especially Francis. Francis to me just seems so,
JB, good
I
morning.
don't know. He was just, I don't know. There was so much attention he was always trying to get, it seemed, on every issue. And he'd always weigh in whether asked or not.
The Catholic Church has been suspicious in its absence of criticism of things. The Catholic Church has avoided weighing in on LGBTQ issues. The Catholic Church has avoided weighing in. I mean, you would think they would be ardent right to lifers. You would think they would be adamantly against many of the LGBTQ things. Instead, they're just kind of like, meh,
Yeah.
we've got bigger fish to fry. And I think in their absence of commitment, you have to get, Scott Tonka's right. Stand back, Brent. Not sure what Ash is going to say. It's, yeah.
No, I'm not going to say anything about the Pope.
No, Christy, I think that, that even goes too far when you start getting into the sacraments and things. I think about the symbolism and yes, the idea of trying to make those things literal is certainly not biblical, but that's okay. So many religions, if we're not careful, I've said for years, because it gets people's attention, that religion is an instrument of the devil. And people look at me like, what? I mean, I'm Methodist. I'm not of the devil. I think that the devil chuckles at how often we focus on the things that make us different instead of the gospel of Jesus Christ that unites us. And I think that that's a problem. I hope that all of you had a faith-filled and enjoyable Easter Sunday. I felt like we go to Parkway. Felt like it was really a celebratory environment. It was nice. I'm always curious. I always think about the people that come. They come to church once a year, right?
Yeah.
So they come to twice a year, Christmas and Easter. And every time they come,
the 2 days I avoid for that reason alone.
Every time they come, they go, I'm not going back. It's just too crowded. It's just, I don't like that many people around me. Well, you can come back next week. There'll be plenty of seats. There'll be plenty of seats next week.
Absolutely.
But I think that everybody that went yesterday, I hope you had a chance to reflect. Yeah, Monty Howard, I think you sum it up just right. He said, my perception of Francis is that most of what I heard about him was far more political than strictly spiritual in nature. Yeah. No doubt. But Junior, you're right. He says every church has communion per se. We did this Sunday. But I just always find it interesting that Catholicism teaches that the wafer that's procured off Amazon literally turns into the body of Christ when you take it. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't. It's got a very low carbohydrate content and no calories.
I remember growing up and my grandma used to have to order it from the church. It's the only way to get it.
Yeah.
Came in a box. It looked like it's your box of checks.
See, but I don't like it now. I mean, I'm an equal opportunity religion dogger. At our church now, it used to be, we had these really beautiful, like ceremonial, at least silver plate trays, and they had all these little glass vials in them, and it was a beautiful thing. I can remember being a kid. I can still hear it. Many of you can too, as they passed around. It was truly that environment of take one, pass it to your neighbor. And I remember my mom saying, you can hold the tray, but your father and I will pull our glass and then you can pass it on. But clink, 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 clink. You could hear them going around.
Well, I think that stopped about the time when the bars started doing test tube shots.
Or when you realize that you had to literally, almost literally hand wash 500 of those. And there was the argument that there was communicable germs and things. And it was a hassle, but we've gone too far.
I don't remember anybody ever getting sick when they all drank out of the same chalice at the Catholic church as a kid.
But you know, what we also had in our church at Northside back in the day was the little wooden tray on the back of the pew. So you would hear in unison, you would hear the clink, 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 stop. And then, do so in remembrance of me. And everybody would drink the wine. In this case, it was grapefruit juice. But then you would hear as all of them in unison went in, and it was a real unifying thing. Now you walk in, and you've done it at Parkway. It's a disposable thing. It's a little plastic deal, and it's got like 2 layers. You pull one layer, and you get the wafer.
If you can pull that first layer.
Yeah,
I struggle with those layers.
People lose their religion trying to get the wafer, and the juice goes everywhere.
That's always my word. That's why I never wear white on Sundays to church, because when I know we're doing communion, because that juice is going to end up all over me.
Yeah,
I miss the going up though and getting it at the front of the church and doing that, the communion walk that most churches used to do. That's the only thing.
Right. But the idea was, I can remember as a younger Christian, as a kid, I can remember saying, man, that's really good. It's kind of like, why do we only eat turkey at Thanksgiving? It's good. Why don't I only drink grape juice? Mark Zapata shares, go up a little bit. He goes, because Christ told us to eat his flesh and drink his blood. Read it. Even in the King James Bible, the bread of life discourse. Many left the church because of the teachings. It had been teaching of the church since the church was established. But it's not literal. It wasn't literal at the Last Supper when Jesus said, this is my body I break for you. They didn't sit there and they weren't cannibals. They ate bread. That's what it was. It was bread. Now they drank wine.
It's not like a piece of his thigh.
No, it's like, I can have some dark meat. That's not how it went down. It was symbolic. It's the symbolism of. Thank goodness as believers or as non-believers that we didn't have to literally be crucified with Christ. Be grateful that you did not have to go through that. Right. Would you get like a little fava bean with that? I'd like some dark meat.
Maybe we got a little too far.
Well, I'm just saying, you've got to look at the symbolism for what it is. It's symbolic. That's why they call it symbolism. Let's take a quick break. Tell you what's not symbolic. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com. It's emblematic of the finest car dealership in the region.
And they'll put the Atzenhofer emblem on the tailgate or the bump back trunk.
Absolutely. Get in there and get a new Chevy, a new Mitsubishi, a gently pre-owned unit. They've got all kinds of cars, Corvettes, pickups, Suburbans, Tahoes. AdsandOver.com. Great place for you to find your next vehicle. Brand us. Why not? He did. He's helped brand us. Go check out our renovated webpage, WadeandCarter.com. Been thinking about putting some merchandise up there.
Oh, we got the show there too. We never plugged the show on our website.
No, but you can watch it on the
I put
website.
it on there every day.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. But we never plug our own website.
We've never tried, honestly, we've never tried to make a buck off any of you. Number one, I don't know if we're, honestly.
They wouldn't pay for us.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if we're humble or naive, but we've never sought to make you pay to wear our logo. But at the same time, there is a demand. We have some witty things that we can put on T-shirts and things. So do be watching that in the days ahead. Chestic Furniture, Chestic and Love, make your house a home. Go by and see Bobby Leon. It is that simple. Talk to the owner.
Yeah, he's there.
He's a legacy for over 100 years.
You think we ought to start with the Carter for Mayor caps and see if
Well,
we
those
can move,
we've
move
got
those?
a few of those. We've got a few of those. That's what you call vintage loser wear. Yeah. It's just
They didn't make the trip to Africa with the
no, there's not any little Somali
No.
kids working in a Chinese mine wearing a Carter for Mayor shirt. No, that's vintage. That's a reminder of what could have been, what should have been. It's a shame. I was ahead of my time. Chestic and Love, make your house a home. Get in and see them. Make your home better. Why are you guys laughing?
You were so far behind, you were ahead. They
That's
almost
right.
lapped you.
That's
back
absolutely
around.
right. Went services, went for, nobody's more self-deprecating than me, which is one of the many things that keeps me humble. Went services for all your electrical needs. You need a new plug. You need new ballast. You need new lighting. Is your garage too dark? It ain't that hard to do.
No.
Give Went a call.
And the new LED lights, they'll light that thing up like it's a runway.
Yeah. You think they appreciate me using the word ain't in there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Is ain't acceptable? It is in Texas, right? Y'all is
Yeah.
acceptable here.
Y'all, all y'all.
Did
Plural.
you ever
Plural
did you
and
ever
plural.
say y'all in your life before you moved here?
No.
Do you use it now?
Yep.
Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Y'all, you all.
In all its various forms.
Yeah. There you go. Kathleen Leininger, still confused after all these years of Catholicism.
No, I don't think so.
That's why many of his
Orthodoxy
disciples
takes it
left
down.
him, because he meant it. It wasn't symbolic. Check out some of the Eucharist miracles. Okay. I'll get on that. Again, it's religion separating Christians. That's what it's about. I mean, we're not going to argue about it because that would be counterproductive.
Me and my facial expressions after Brent talks, that's what she's here for. Michelle Wilson Hawkins says that.
Yeah. See, I'm in that role where all I answer to is the truth. Ash every now and then gets a little anxious. He's like, oh,
No,
did he say that? Oh,
part of my role.
yeah.
Makes people notice things.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's been since 13. He's been Pope. Francis has been Pope since 13.
Wow,
right?
12 years.
I don't know if that's long in the realm of popedom these days. I don't know.
I don't know.
Do they really want to pope? I mean, so he was 76.
No, and yeah, so he's 88 now.
88.
I don't know. We just elected a president that's 76,
True, but
but not for 12
president,
years,
no.
unless he decides to become a dictator.
Well, there's always that. Speaking of which, a lot of talk of the Supreme Court might have overstepped their bounds on the weekend
I agree.
on in determining that the federal government must halt deporting Venezuelans under the Alien and Sedition Act of 17, whatever it was,
86, something like that.
citing the law was too old,
Yeah.
according to one justice. And was it
I think
Was it
Clarence
Clarence
Thomas was
Thomas?
the one that said, well, I don't know. The Constitution's older and we're basing everything on that. Justices Alito and Thomas were the only two dissenting votes in a 7-2 decision to suspend the deportations. What makes it interesting is not where you stand on the deportations. It's the idea that the Supreme Court ruled that the judge in DC who had originally said you can't send them home, or that you must bring Kilmer back.
bring them back, bring the planes back.
You must bring them back. the Supreme Court decided that guy had no standing, that the decision should have been made in the Texas court where the guy was originally detained. So at the end of the day, they decided you got to let the North Texas court determine his fate. But then they didn't wait for that. The Supreme Court said you can't deport anymore. Period. For a while, we're giving them a stay. And Alito said that he believes in it's on here. Would you go to it? Let's go over to one of these. It says something about the Supreme Court. There, read that for me, because I don't want to misquote somebody I know is smarter than me. Which click on that one.
That one? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't opened it, but that's one I would click on.
All right. Let's see what we get here. Epic Times reporting that the High Court shunned normal procedure in blocking the removals, according to Justice Samuel Alito in a dissent joined by Justice Clarence Thomas. Literally in the middle of the night, the court issued unprecedented and legally questionable relief without giving the lower courts a chance to rule, without hearing from the opposing party within 8 hours of receiving the application, with dubious factual support for its order, and without providing any explanation for its order.
That kind of sums it up.
Wrote.
Nobody questioned the president. Very few facts were admitted.
Here's
they
a big
ruled
one.
on it within 8 hours.
I refused to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that, under these circumstances, issuing an order at midnight was necessary or appropriate. Both the executive and the judiciary have an obligation to follow the law. The executive must proceed under the terms of our order in Trump versus JGG, and this court should follow established procedures. Alito wrote, the justices acted even though it is not clear the court had jurisdiction or authority to hear the case.
So isn't it funny?
Alito.
Isn't it interesting, at least, that in our quest as a nation to make sure that the executive branch doesn't overstep its bounds, by a 7-2 margin, we allow the
Supreme
judiciary branch to overstep its bounds.
And all these
Very
people that were
interesting.
so worried about Trump stacking the court, they seem to be working against him these days, don't they?
I agree with Kathleen Leininger. Sad to see that Thomas and Alito are the only ones left with any constitutional gravitas.
And remember I seem to remember, not just Clarence Thomas when he was nominated, he had to face a allegation of sexual misconduct.
Right, because always blame him for something he can't refute. Once you looked at a girl affectionately and you're a racist. You can't call the black guy a racist.
But he was nominated by Clinton. So right then I remember he's not very conservative. He's not a constitutionalist.
Genius.
Turned out to be one.
He's written more opinions than any judge in the history of the court.
And I shouldn't say turned out to be one. He is one. He has been one. And that's what the left has forgotten. Gee, Clinton actually put in a constitutionalist back then.
Fairly a self-made man. Justice Thomas grew up very poor. I want to say he lived with his grandparents, and his grandparents brought him in. He was going to a parochial school, basically like to become essentially, there would be a point where he could become a priest. And his grandfather had told him, as long as you're enrolled in that church, in that school, and pursuing the church, you can live here. And the justice decided, I'm done, and he wanted to go to Yale. And when he went home and told his granddad, I've dropped out of this church, his granddad put him on the street. He said, well, then you have to move out. And he goes, when? And his grandfather said, today. He was that principled of a man. And I've read the book.
Someone's called him stubborn.
Well, I've read the book, and he did say, he goes, looking back, that's where I get my resolute nature, is that right or wrong, his grandfather was a man of intense principle.
I've got the workaround for the Trump administration, since they can't no longer deport Venezuelans, and we've always heard that we can't ever verify where these people are from because they come with no papers. They're all Salvadorians from now on. or
That's right.
or Nicaraguans
That's
or
right.
Somalians, whatever country the Supreme Court's going to bar us from deporting these people back to, we just move it to the next country.
Nobody now even questions the fact that this guy was a gang member. I mean, they just reported this morning that there's now a police report of him this guy drove from Maryland to Houston, gets pulled over on the way back with 8 people in his car. And I don't know what he had. You think it was a small Mercedes bus? 8 people in his car. When the officer said, "Hey, where you guys going?" "Oh, we're going back to Maryland." "Oh, really?" "Yeah. I came and got these friends of mine. They're going to work for me." He was a concrete guy. He was a construction guy. He goes, "Oh, really? Where's their luggage?" "They're just going with you to work for you. They have no luggage." There's no, not one guy had a bag of any type. This was human trafficking.
Yeah.
And he was caught doing it. So he's a bad guy. Now that we've determined he's a bad guy, a guy who's here illegally, so is also merits no due process. You want to give our rights to everybody.
He got his due process when he was given a deportation order, and a couple of immigration judges ruled that he was a gang member.
So just load that guy up and send him wherever he lands. Bully. We ended up sending him home. And the president there says, "I know that dude. That guy's staying in my prison." Imagine if Al Capone somehow ended up in El Salvador and he came back here and a Salvadoran judge said, no, he's supposed to go to Australia. President Trump would say, "We got you, Al. We're putting you in our prison. We keep an eye on you." That's all that's happened here. The El Salvadoran president said, I'm a sovereign nation. That guy's a citizen of my country. He deserves to be in prison. They're not talking about letting him out. And the president down there doesn't seem too concerned if whether or not the guy dies or not.
Well, I mean, somehow they facilitated a very nice meeting between him and Senator Van Hollen. And I don't know where it was, but if that's the prison, that's a pretty damn nice prison.
All of a sudden, it's become a human rights crisis to the left because anything that involves the Trump administration is bad. But nobody cares about, name one, the little girl that was raped by the gang member, all those stories that are horror stories, yet true. Nobody cares about those victims who
Nobody cares about
Americans.
325,000 children.
Where are they?
That have just disappeared, that were in our illegal immigration system.
You can't hide 325,000 kids. Where are they?
Well, as we remember when we interviewed CBP a long time ago,
Years
on this
ago,
show,
years ago,
a few years back,
other studio.
in the first Trump administration.
Yeah.
And they told us that at the time they were DNA testing the kids that they were coming across
with their parents.
85% of them had no DNA tying them to the person claiming to be their relative, bringing them across the border. They were and they even told us then, we've seen several of these kids several times.
Right. They use them to get in. They get an order to appear. The adults disperse. Nobody cares about the kids. And then remember when the Trump administration was being hassled because you're separating families. Oh, you're separating families. They weren't family. And they knew it because they were DNA testing them. Now, what you need to know is all of those people, their DNA is in the system.
Yeah.
So you get arrested for anything, they can put you in the database, which they do, and your DNA will pop up, and then you will be deportable. Yeah. There you
Should
go.
be. But yeah,
And Linda Chris is right. The left only cares about tying Trump's hands, and it's just not working.
Arrests at the border are down to the lowest number in
history. Recorded history. Homan is he's just a rock star.
Yeah.
I love the idea. We didn't need any more laws. They haven't sent down 9 million more troops. They haven't spent any more money.
We've sent down some troops, and Mexico's doing their job again.
Finally, we needed a new president is what we needed, but not a ton of troops. It's not like it's a military presence on the border that's keeping them from coming. It's a diplomatic one that says, you know what, if they keep coming, you're going to sit there and watch your avocados rot.
Monty Howard says, where was the high-profile posturing about due process when legal immigration processes were blown off when he came here? Oh, and then there was the due process that was not afforded the J6
Who were
detainees.
Americans. They were Americans being detained.
Yeah. No, it's purely posturing. That's all it is.
Yes. 100%, Monty Howard.
You're spot on.
That's a smart guy.
He is a smart guy.
Let's take another quick break. Let's do a quick one.
All right.
Pick one. Dollar Floor Store.
The Floor Trader, get in there today for all your flooring needs. You're not happy after everybody came over for Easter and you realize, the floors aren't what they should be.
I don't want to mop them. I'll just replace them.
Yes.
Kids spilled that Sacramento wine on your living room carpet. Put down some tile, something you can live with. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends, this Thursday night. First ball pops at 7:30. Get there a little bit. I try to get there about 7. Say hi to everybody, settle down.
Have a bite to eat.
I think Junior Samples gets there about 4:30, and I think he sneaks in about 50 of those airline bottles. And you can just hear him when he gets up to walk to the bathroom. It's clink, 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 clink.
He sounds like the old church on Communion Day.
Yeah, that's what he sounds like walking. Then he throws those in the bathroom. Trash. But Palace Bingo is always fun. Come on out and see all of our usual suspects. Linda will be there. I'm sure Tommy and Monica Jost will be there. We have a good group. It's always
Sylvester
fun.
will be there. I'm sure.
It's always. Oh,
It's always
I
fun.
saw Bob Constantine yesterday. He said, pass along to your listeners that he's feeling better.
Good.
And he said he intends to be there on Thursday night, which more than doubles their take. The office is at 205. If you don't office here, you should.
Yeah.
If you need 2, 3 offices, come on by. Wade Carter will make you a deal.
You don't need them all.
No, we'll make you a deal. Just can't have this one.
Yeah. Veracruz Restaurant today.
No. Post Easter Monday.
You think-
Hard-boiled eggs.
No, that would
free.
be post Easter Monday would be tomorrow. Post Easter Sunday. Easter Monday's today.
There you go. Okay. Deep thoughts by Ash. Doesn't matter if he's right because he's convicted. He means that. Paravita Wellness, get in and get healthy. I don't know why we overeat at every turn, but if you've overeaten over Easter, get in and let Erica Briggs help you solve your A1C dilemma.
Your overeating issues.
Right? I'd like some chicken, please, with a side of Ozempic. Like get your meals through a needle.
Maybe a church could start offering Ozempic for communion.
Right? Get in there.
Well,
Good
Vincent,
time.
good morning.
Good morning. Will, I haven't seen Will in a while. Hope he's doing well.
Oh, what else is happening in the world today?
There's a lot. I mean, to recap, Supreme Court's out of their minds and the Pope has passed. These are not.
That's the show, folks.
Have a great day. Yeah, have it. Have a great day.
So 6 years later, the guy that killed 23, wounded 24 others at that mass shooting at the Walmart in El Paso, expected to plead guilty today to capital murder charges.
No,
we never mentioned
why
his
did
name.
that take so long? I'm not going to mention his name.
That's where I'm going.
Why does it take so long? Apparently nobody. 45 people involved. He killed 23, wounded 22 others in a Walmart in 2019. Why has it taken in our state? I understand if you're in Vermont with Bernie, but why does it take 6 years in the state of Texas to go, hey, look, dude, you killed or maimed 45 people?
And here's what I don't understand. This sentencing, after expected to plead guilty, comes on top of the 90 consecutive life sentences he was handed down in 2023 on federal hate crime charges. So why did the state have to continue with this? The guy's already put away for 90 consecutive life sentences. Why did we waste the money? What were they for? Oh, what if he gets out? What if he escapes?
Why not give that guy an appeal and take him out back and introduce him to the cartel assassination? Really? I mean, I'm being as
Jack
honest
Ruby
as I
kicking
can
around
be.
somewhere?
Why not? Okay, you want to humanely give him the injection, whatever. Why is that guy still alive? The guy drove over 700 miles from his Dallas home, walked into the store with a semi-automatic rifle, and he was wearing headphones and earmuffs because, you didn't want to damage his hearing as he shot 45 people.
Yeah.
He had a 4-page anti-immigrant and white nationalist. So he's a Nazi on top of that manifesto. Why not? He posted it minutes before the shooting, suggested the specific store he was targeted due to the demographics, because El Paso is 80% Hispanic and Latino. And why wouldn't you just shoot that guy? In fact, how did he ever walk out of the Walmart?
I have no idea.
I'm done. I'm out of bullets. Arrest me. People want to blame the gun. It's only because of those kind of idiots.
But I don't know why we wasted another 2 years and all that money and getting to this point where he's going to plead guilty when he's already serving 90 life sentences. This is the idiocy of our judicial system, our justice system, and the segmentation of it all.
Sadly, still the best in the world. Still the best in the world.
Because
system.
Yeah. Well, let me click here because I'm guessing something.
Okay.
Oh, come on, don't do this to me.
What are you going to read?
Well, I'm guessing that this is now the state's deal.
El Paso District Attorney.
El Paso District Attorney James. So they
dropped the death penalties. So that guy ought to be replaced. James Montoya, the El Paso DA, just turned his back on 45 of his citizens. He dropped the death penalty as part of a plea agreement.
The resolution of the nearly 6-year-old case only brings half justice to the victims and their families, according to one person, and says they're disappointed with the DA's office. But I don't get it. I mean, why?
Yeah.
Why did we have to? We collectively, society, he's already serving. I mean, you wanted the death penalty.
Right. Linda says that's why, because the courts are not spending their money, they're spending ours. The guy should simply be put down.
Scott Tomko, 6 years for this guy. Think how long to give millions of illegals a day in court.
Yeah, they don't get a day in court. Illegal is the key phrase, key word. They're gone. They need to go.
They got it when they got their deportation order.
That's right. That's your day in court. So in this particular guy, this Kilmer guy, whatever his name is, I guess we should go get him, bring him back, get a judge out there on the runway, literally on the runway, swear him in, ask him where he's from. He says El Salvador, and then send him to Honduras. Right then, fuel it up, send him back.
Oh, but he's not a gang member. He's just a dad trying to help and raise a family.
The judge allows Harvey Weinstein, remember him when that was a big deal, to remain in hospital during his retrial on rape and sexual assault charges with jury selection underway. He's in the hospital. That's a guy that it's either a really bad act. Remember, he walks in with the cane and all that,
walker, and
trying to look
kidney disease and
trying to look sympathetic.
Yeah,
guy's a clown.
He is a clown.
He's a clown.
Yeah.
Who else can we judge today now that Easter's over?
Well, Vlad Putin, because he declared a one-day ceasefire yesterday in the Ukrainian war in observance of Easter.
It's just so Christian of him for a guy that's decidedly not religious.
He probably practices the Russian Orthodox Church. Maybe, I don't know.
I thought they were religion's an opiate of the people. It's one of your
the USSR didn't allow it.
One of your great mentors. Was that Lenin that said that? Stalin would have said, kill them all. So Lenin must be the one that said, maybe it was Marx. Maybe it was Marx who said, religion is an opiate of the people.
Oh, what else is happening in the world today?
I
see we can bring it closer to home. I think there was a kid at West that got arrested for issuing terroristic threats. I'd like to know what these threats are. I'm wondering if we're starting to overuse that term with these things.
Yeah.
Did he threaten to beat up a classmate, or did he actually threaten to go postal on the school? I don't know.
I don't know.
But there were 2 last week. There was a kid at an elementary school kid at Shawlamer that got arrested for the same thing.
The kid had
similar.
The kid had a picture. I don't know his name, so I'm not maligning some minor. For those of you that get all amped up about this. This is exactly what House Bill 6 was designed to address, is that you don't think of this being a problem when a second grader comes in and shows a kid a picture of a very realistic rifle. And yes, it had the red tip on the end because it's a soft dart type gun, not a soft dart, but the soft pellets, which could still put out an eye. That's not the issue. The issue is the kid held it up and said, look what I've got, to another kid on his phone. Second grader now has his phone, has a picture of an assault type rifle on his phone, and tells the other kid, look what I've got. And the kid goes, well, it's a toy. It's obviously a toy. It's got the red tip on it. And the kid said, yeah, I know, but wouldn't it be cool if I came in here and opened up on everybody? You think that kid's normal? You think that's just a second grader doing normal kid things?
No.
That's bizarro, man. So you know what they did? Called the SRO. You know what happened? Put him in cuffs, put him in a car, took him away. So not the first episode involving that 10-year-old child.
No?
No.
Oh, I did not know.
But
that.
don't be surprised if that's the kind of kid that causes problems. Lisa says he was a 5th grader. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was a 5th grader. If he's a 5th grader, it makes me even more anxious. If he's a 2nd grader, he's just stupid.
I heard he was 10, so that would be 5th grade.
Okay, go there. My apologies to the guilty. He's 10. I've got a kid that's 12, and I watched him shoot trap all day on Saturday. So don't think that a kid that's 10 can't do something crazy, because they can do it.
Should know better at 10.
By the way, Ryland shot pretty good.
Didn't he? Good.
Yeah, a little. Justin Marr hooked him up with a little youth 20 gauge,
Nice.
throws it up there left-handed and gets after it.
Michelle Wilson Hawkins says, "What about the? I'm in a reserve on the Carmelo Anthony thing, because there's more to this story than we know, and then they're letting know. I'm just telling you. My gut tells me there's more here. The way that the parents on both sides are acting on this thing is weird.
But I can't get past the fact
he had a knife
at a track meet and stabbed a kid to death.
I mean, what are you going to do?
To me, that's the end of the show.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You're running the 200 and you give the guy a little shot in the ribs with it?
What do you call it? A little what for?
Yeah.
Just a little just to get his attention.
What do you need a knife at a track meet for?
I don't know. So that is a thought. It is hard to dispute or get around the fact that one child had a knife in a backpack. I don't care what the dispute was. The fact that he had the knife in the backpack is a problem. There's Sheriff Louderback,
And
our honorable state rep from House District 30. Good morning, sir.
Reportedly, gave him the old mess around and find out sort of speech, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's no
Touch me and see what happens.
There's no, the thin ice doesn't just apply to guns.
Right.
Applies to weapons and self-defense. But when you're,
is this kid going to now try to claim that he felt his life threatened? He felt threatened for his life?
You're at a track meet at a track.
Right.
You're a track guy. You couldn't have ran?
Solid point. Why not do the manly thing and run? That's what he should have done. Good morning, Torrin Bales.
Might have been a little bit of stuff bleeding over from a football game or something. I don't know.
Is that the alleged part?
Early on, that was part of the narrative. I don't know if it's continued, because
at any rate,
it may not actually
Carmelo
bolster the
Anthony,
victim status.
He's got problems.
Well, you named your kid after Carmelo Anthony.
Solid point.
Parents have problems.
Absolutely. Take one last break. Doesn't take but a minute. We don't have much left. the best for last. White Trash Services, White Trash Site Services. What are we going to do this week? We're going to have a trash-tastic week.
We are.
We're going to pick up trash in the Victoria, all the surrounding and contiguous counties, and multiple other counties. We're going to drop off roll-off dumpsters. If you need help with a roll-off dumpster, give us a call. 550-1826. Reach out to BJ and Scott Nelson. Clearly, they're doing something right. Started a business several years ago with a yellow notepad, a list of existing clients. Everything's automated now. Everything is handled properly. New trucks, consistent drivers. They don't break down and not pick up. They pick up on time. They do a great job. Tell me about the chopping block, bro.
Yeah, back to Monday, and they finally got ribeyes back on sale. $14.99 a pound. Beef prices are up, but they've struggled to find worthy ribeyes to put on sale and offer them to you. So it's been almost 2 months since I've had a ribeye sale, but here we are. And if you go to their Facebook page, you can win 4 ribeyes. All you got to do is like the post, tag 3 friends, and then share the post. So there you go. Plus, don't forget all your barbecue essentials for those of you that compete in all things barbecue, chicken, ribs, brisket.
Oh, they've got it all.
They've got it all.
The Wagyu briskets.
Yeah. So there you go. Get over there today.
Said they had crawfish over the weekend too.
Absolutely. Kathleen Leininger points something out that had crossed my mind, but I don't know what to do with it. She says the Carmelo fundraising machine was put into operation with well thought out precision. There was a GoFundMe very, very quickly. And for whatever it's worth,
He ended up with a pretty high profile attorney pretty quickly too.
it's very interesting. You know, I mean, he killed a kid and all of a sudden he's the victim. And I can't help but say that it's got to have something to do with the fact that it's a black on white thing. It just does. I mean, I'll be honest. When I first heard the story,
the media does this, right? It couldn't just be 2 schoolmates or school rivals having a disagreement.
when I first heard it, I honestly didn't know. The only picture you saw was of the young black child. And I didn't know if the white kid stabbed the black kid or vice versa. I didn't know. And my immediate thought was still, this is out of hand. There's no reason to stab a kid at a track meet.
No, and the apologist for Carmelo and his stabbing the other kid is like, well, they didn't have to tell him to leave. They didn't have to bow up to him.
Whatever. That's all the people. That's all the people that never competed for anything in their life.
Well,
That's
but here's
what
the
that
other
is.
thing. You're asked to leave somewhere.
Probably
You leave.
Not if you have a knife, because you can just stay there and stab somebody.
Yeah.
There's the key point. If not premeditated, certainly not avoided. He had the opportunity to avoid. Monty Howard says, apply. Where does Monty Howard live?
Monty Howard lives in San Antonio.
Okay. But where's he from?
Arkansas, Missouri
San
originally?
Antonio.
Okay, he makes perfect sense. That's I wanted to know. I always like to gravitate to people that make sense. He says, applying the squint test to the stabbing. It's local news that media and the narcissist nabobs of notoriety have wholly over-promoted and overblown. Yeah, Stephanie Conley says that his family has bought a new
Yeah, I think
$500,000 house on top.
that was debunked, I think.
But they originally, though, the idea was that they were using the GoFundMe money to buy a new house, and that was debunked. But the idea was that they moved into a gated community for their safety.
Yeah.
Are they thinking we're going to get like a angry mob together and torches and pitchforks and like burn a cross in their yard? We're coming for you, Carmelo.
You know, if they would stop having press conferences, people might not even know who they are.
A lot to be said for that.
But when you won't let the attention escape you.
Absolutely. When you seek the attention.
Absolutely.
Oh, goodness.
Oh.
The Carmelo Anthony bust statue being built as we speak. He was a victim. He's a victim.
First State Bank Astros update. Always a great time for the Astros update, except this morning because they lost 3-2. Late
But they
home
took
run.
2 out of 3 from
they
the
did.
Padres.
You'll take 2. You can take 2 out of 3 out of a team that came in with the best record in The majors?
They're good.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you what hindered them
A couple
in
of
this
former
game.
Astros on that team.
Yeah, Yuli Gurriel hindered them, and so did Martin Maldonado. I can't see either starting.
Yuli
for
made a nice
program.
diving catch, though.
Yeah.
And Martin is actually hitting about 40 points better than he did all
Yeah,
last
he's hitting
year.
like 225, which is really good for Martin, but he is so slow, folks, that there was a ball hit to Christian Walker, first baseman, hit to Walker's right. He picks it up and throws it to Pena for the first out. And Walker, in appropriate name, walks back to first base, turns around, and Pena does like this with his glove and throws out Maldonado. That's how slow.
What you
Maldi
used to get
is.
in trouble for if you were playing shortstop as a little leaguer. Don't pump it, just
he was
throw
just
it.
like, because he had all day to
Yeah.
turn the double play because Martin is just
Well, you think
not
that was
fast.
just, well, I know, but you think Pena, because former teammates, just
Give him a little love.
a little bit of that, I'm sure.
Fernando Tatis Jr. played right field. He had a triple
and he
and
had
a
a
home
bomb
run. He's a
yesterday. Yeah,
star. He
he
is
is.
a true star.
And Astros host the Blue Jays starting tonight.
Isak Paredes looking really strong. Fromber looked good for 5 innings.
3-game set before the Astros head north to take on the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
So
There you go. That's your Astros update.
that's
Brought to you
your
by the great folks at First State Bank of Louise. Just friendliest bank in town.
back open today.
Nicest people you'll ever
Closed
do
early on
business with.
Friday, as did most banks, I believe.
They did.
Let's see what else is going on. I think the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche play game 2 tonight in Dallas of their first round.
Who won the first game?
The Avalanche.
Really?
Yeah, kind of beat them pretty good too. Saturday
Scott
night.
Tomko, what's up? I thought
5-1 was the final score.
5. Gave up 5?
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Did they play with an empty net for the last period? It's all the hockey I know.
Oh, they did for a second there.
You did so well.
But one thing I've watched most of all the playoff games, including one yesterday with my eyelids shut. But that Dallas Colorado game, for all the hype, everybody thought, oh, this is going to be the series. It's going to be the best series.
Nothing yet.
It had all the intensity of the very first preseason game.
They didn't just throw gloves right at the beginning.
No, it was. I don't know. It was not. It just didn't feel like playoff hockey to me.
Yeah, Ricky King, solid point. There was a play last night. So picture this. There's nobody on base, first inning. A ball is hit towards first base on the second base side of the infield, and Christian Walker goes over and fields it. Mauricio Dubon, playing second base, being very heads up, races to second because Fromber is just not that fast either. And as Walker turns and throws the ball to Dubon so Dubon can tag first base. Did you see this? What's his name? Ariz, 3-time batting champion, is trying to leg out a bunt that he laid down. And as Dubon catches the ball at first, he's backpedaling and he crosses the base path to tag the bag. And this guy, Dubon, just has time to just brace himself. And this guy's head hit Dubon. His chin hit Dubon on the shoulder. You may think Dubon's a bony guy, but he's a professional athlete. Dude, that guy, Ariz, was out on the way down. He landed on his bottom and fell and banged his head on the grass. And his eyes were already shut, dude. And he didn't move. They took him off on a cart. Now, we watched the replay enough. I go, the dude's concussed. I mean, it didn't take a lot of diagnosis.
They're going to call for the safety base
So
now.
they call. Oh, yeah. This dude was out. And everybody agreed. The most shaken up on the play, Dubon. Such a nice man. Ran over and literally unashamedly just held the guy's hand. And, there was none of that. Yeah, hey, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Or in this case, El Toro. No, he just went over. Tried to comfort the guy, but the guy was
accidental
and was unable to be comforted because the dude was asleep.
Yeah,
he was out. He was George Foreman out, like he got hit in the face with the George Foreman grill, a grill to the grill. That they put the Ted Kennedy neck brace on him. They did the whole deal. Can't be too careful.
No, you can't.
He's just out.
When you bang your head like that,
Oh, it was
that limp. Yeah,
But you know, when you see somebody fall like a sack of potatoes,
Yeah.
I felt bad for the dude. But yeah,
I
no, it
mean,
was bad.
yeah, you expect it in boxing or sports like
Right,
that, right? But not in
baseball.
baseball.
Nobody gets hurt in baseball, right?
No, there's no crying in baseball. So I just saw this headline: the global conspiracy theorists, the one world order conspiracy theorists, are going to have a field day with this one. The day Pope Francis dies, Klaus Schwab steps down as the World Economic Forum chairman. The founder of the WEF, the longtime chairman of the WEF,
wrestling organization,
effective immediately, according.
Was he placed there by the papacy, or was he in counterintuitiveness to the Roman Catholic Church? What's the scam?
I don't know that there is there. He's 88 years old. So maybe catching wind of the Pope dying and
He
realizing
decided
at the
to
same age it's time
Stop
to go.
and smell
but
the roses.
it'll be interesting to see if the WEF continues to have the influence that it has had on world governments. I mean, think about it. This is where all those that tell you that you need to be good stewards of the environment fly their private jets to and go meet in Davos, Switzerland once or twice a year and eat caviar and
John Kerry.
Yeah, and you know, extinct animals like woolly mammoth that they've regrown in the lab and stuff like stupid things like this.
Which
and then,
makes perfect sense.
And then tell you've got to conserve. You've got to be better. You've got to drive your electric car that only has a 25-mile range because you've got to live in a 15-minute city
Turn
to
your
conserve
thermostat
the
up.
earth. Well, we fly around the globe in our private jets
On your money.
burning more and making more of a carbon footprint in this one trip to Davos than you will in your entire life,
Absolutely.
even if you had a coal plant in your own backyard.
Preach it.
Yeah. This is what they do, folks. So I'd be curious to see if the WEF and the apologists in Canada, because I think early voting has started, or advanced voting, as they call it in Canada, for the election for a new prime minister. And this will be interesting because Bloomberg, you know, that right-wing bastion of conservative thought,
Right.
has done an analysis of Mark Carney, the liberal heir to current prime minister, I guess, by default after
The
winning
British
Liberal.
guy that's going to run Canada.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, they just had a Cuban running Canada, so
Very interesting.
but yeah, Bloomberg came out with an analysis and basically said that all of Mark Carney's spending plans, which a lot of them are very similar to what Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have been promising for months. Although I don't believe Carney's going to cut spending, just cut taxes. But his plans are going to spend more money than the Trudeau government, if that's possible. But the leftists in Canada are not even apologizing for it. They're making excuses for it. Well, you got to spend to get us out of this problem. You got to spend more to get us out of inflation. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Canada.
You got to make things affordable. We need $15 minimum wage. We need more than that.
Torn Bill says, what's good for thee, but not
Yeah.
for me. Amen.
That's interesting that two of the biggest leaders in Europe, both, I mean, well, one I guess kind of elected, the other one self-appointed. Their reigns ended early today. Pope Francis dies at the age of 88. And Klaus Schwab at the age of 88 steps down from the World Economic Forum.
Speaking of that, with sincerity, condolences to our Catholic friends. I don't know. I thought it was admirable that there was nobody at any point during the Pope's illness that even speculated like, well, who'll be the next Pope? But we know that the Catholic Church will go on. We know they will find an adequate Pope. And you know, it'll be curious to see what happens.
It's interesting the media didn't get there because the last couple popes, when they've gotten older, that's all the media speculating.
No, that's
about,
right. That's exactly right. Top of the hour, folks. God bless you all. Have a great week. Go win Monday. You can't win the week if you don't win Monday. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up.